Welcome back to Chaos Corner. It's your old buddy, the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy, and I tell it like it is. I'll say that to say this. Same day coverage, live to tape, here from Chaos Corner. 10, 12 feet below the surface of the earth. Fans, last night, 5 minutes that changed the landscape in the world of professional wrestling. You're going to want to stay tuned. I'm on Twitter right now, live to tape. In about a minute and a half, we're going to bounce over to my YouTube channel, Guardian of Chaos. Now hit my profile link, and that's at Big Daddy G.O.C. And the G.O.C. stands for the Guardian of Chaos. You'll bounce over to the YouTube channel. Now also, don't forget about my boys at The Show, and that's at Mario_Chaos. They're there to put you over. You have to use them for a creative content platform, or I don't know what you're doing. I'm happy to be here. Fans, stay tuned. You're going to want to stay here. I'm going to upload this, download this, whatever you want to say today. A lot of breaking news. And as I said, I've listened to everybody last night and today. I listened to Busted Open Radio. I listened to Wrestling with Anything But podcasts, and specifically Maintaining the Truth, Making Waves, Road to Recovery, Breaking the Ice, and Unmasking the Truth. I listened to JD from New York and Off the Script. I listened to Don, Tony, and Mish. I listened to Hannibal TV. I listened to the Joe Cronin Show. And I got everybody's feedback plus what I saw live last night on AEW Dynamite. Fans, as I said, I'm glad you're here for Chaos Corner show number 18. It's going to be one heck of a show. We're going to cover everything AEW Dynamite and all the special appearances last night. Kenny Omega wins the title. Sting shows up. What's the connection between Impact and AEW? Don't you dare miss it. All right, fans, welcome back to Chaos Corner, show number 18, live to tape, same-day coverage. We're strictly going to cover AEW Dynamite. AEW will sprinkle in what happened with Impact. We're going to sprinkle in what happened with Don Callis, Omega winning the title, and Sting showing up. 5 minutes, as I said in the opening, that has changed the landscape of professional wrestling. Now, fans, I'm glad you're here. I haven't been on in about 5 days. I was just on Pro Wrestling Zone PWZ with the Professor, Rick Del Santo, covering AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, MLW, AEW. Let me lower down the distraction here for show number 18 in Chaos Corner. So go over and check out Pro Wrestle Zone with the Professor. You'll see we did about an hour podcast breaking down the world of professional wrestling. I'm glad you're here today. I really am. We're in the holiday season. This is my first show in the month of December 2020. And as you can see, I'm throwing it back. Good vibes, positive energy. There's a lot of things going on out there in the world that can bring you down. We're not going to let it happen here in Chaos Corner. So bear with me. We're a few minutes in. Chaos Corner. Let me get myself juiced up here today. In a good way, Red Bull, I'm still trying to get in touch with them, but it is what it is. So take a little break, a little music interruption, no copyright infringements here. I'm down with all the guidelines. All right, fans, I'm glad that you're here. As I said, show number 18. I'm going to lower down the music for now. We'll bring it back. Solar powered. I always talk about it. The interruptions, the Wi-Fi, the connections, the cable, and everything that goes on here in Chaos Corner. We are early on a Thursday. As I said, same day, live to tape. But we do have a few people hanging out, so I'm happy for that. I'm happy they could show up. So a couple people took the day off. So it's a beautiful thing. Let me lower down the distractions. All right, fans. Let's get down to the task at hand. As I said, 5 minutes that changed the landscape of professional wrestling last night. Now, I talked to a lot of different people in the last 24 hours. I have listened to a lot of people, what I've viewed and then reviewed in my own 30 plus experience in the business, and my thoughts. We're going to address something later on that a lot of people came at me on social media last night. I'm not quite sure why. I understand. I want to give my condolences, my prayers and thoughts out to Pat Patterson and everyone that knew him and his friends and family. But there's a lot of controversy that comes along with that. I spoke about it last night because you knew that I tell it like it is. Maybe not the right time. I'll say that. Maybe not the most appropriate time as someone passes away who was such an impactful, legendary person as Pat Patterson and what he's done for this business. But I know not through my own personal dealings because I never met the man. I never worked for the man. So I don't want anyone to think I'm speaking out of place because that's how some people took it last night in these live chats that I'm very active in. But I know people that lived with it in the 80s and into the 90s and different things that have happened with regards to the scandals. And all you have to do is Google it and YouTube. It's out there on public forum. It's out there for public consumption, public information about the history of Pat Patterson. So we'll get onto that at the end of the show or maybe even another episode. But I will say in all sincerity and honesty, rest in peace, Pat Patterson, very impactful in the business. And I'll leave it at that for now, and we'll address it later. Fans, if you didn't see AEW Dynamite last night because you were watching NXT, and again, they did an unbelievable tribute to WWE last night into the career of Pat Patterson. And I did follow him and respect him for years. Again, the heinous stuff and all the things that have been talked about afterwards, we'll get onto that. Last night at Daly's Place, there was about 1,000 people that were lucky and fortunate enough to be in the live crowd during this pandemic. If you were there last night, leave a comment in the comment section or email me or inbox me on Twitter or Gab or Parler or Instagram. I'm very active on those different platforms, but the quickest way is either via email or on Twitter. Let me know what your thoughts were to be in the live crowd last night for perhaps the biggest reaction and biggest return in pro wrestling. If you were there and able to experience that, especially what's been going on since in 2020 with the pandemic, it must have been a sight to behold. And what AEW continues to do on a weekly basis down there in Jacksonville is really amazing. Last night for the Patterson tribute in NXT, they had about 100 people in the building, and I didn't see anybody, none of the talent or the rosters wearing masks. That's not my problem. I'm sure they've all been tested to doing it the right way, but just different things that you see as the public, and you wonder what the accurate information is, or what to believe and what not to believe. So, as I said, I've listened and talked to a lot of different people, so we'll get on to that. But it was a nice tribute. They opened up last night. First off, we know the moniker and what they're putting out there, Tony Khan and AEW, and what they do visually and what they do social media-wise has been unbelievable. The whole winter is coming, and last night the war begins. If you've seen it on YouTube, it really has been something. So last night they opened up with the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royale. My old buddy Justin Roberts was in the ring. Justin, you're looking fantastic, brother. Hit me up, my friend. He's still one of the best announcers in pro wrestling today, bar none, with the hottest group in the business. Now, the last two winners of the Diamond Battle Royale, so to speak, will go on to face next week to get a shot at the title. Okay, that's what I'm hearing for. Or next week they go for the the Dynamite Diamond Ring, which is MJF's Dynamite Diamond Ring. And he alluded to that in a video, and we're going to talk about that because apparently the year of the ring, they've had this in the past, I want to say 96 and 97, maybe even 04 and 05. That's what MJF was alluding to. So not for the title. The last two in the Battle Royale, I believe there was 22 men last night on Dynamite on TNT. Fans, go back and check it out. It was a show that you're not going to want to miss. And like I said, it's changed the landscape of the current professional wrestling industry. We open up again with the Battle Royal. Shivani, JR, Excalibur, a pretty damn good trio of announcers, a mix between new school and old school, historical, listening to these guys. It brings me back to the 80s when I was in my 20s and the business was booming back then. It really, so to hear those guys, I really like to tune into AEW just for that alone. JR still is on his fastball. A lot of people at JR and talk about him because he's older, but he still has it in the Chaos opinion. So there were a lot of different people. All the stars were in the Battle Royale last night. JR mentions Pat Patterson. They briefly mention it in AEW. They don't say too much about it. MJF does a promo with Wardlow and Sammy saying it's our ring. I alluded to that before we get on to the Battle Royale. Now, the competitors in there. They had Miro, the former Rusev from the WWE, Orange Cassidy, delete Matt Hardy, Kip Sabian, Matt Sydal, members of the Dark World Order, Serpentico, Hangman Page was in there. Also, Luther from the Chaos Project. You know how I feel about that, being the guardian of chaos. A Private Party was in there. A Jungle Boy was in there. Joey Janela. So a lot of different competitors, just about the whole AEW roster, to see who gets the shot next week for the Dynamite Diamond Ring with MJF. I like the way they're doing this. I'm not a huge fan of the Battle Royal because it usually doesn't mean anything, but I like the way AEW opened up with it this week. And fans, you know that through my 18 episodes, I try to make AEW the one product that I cover weekly because it makes you come back for more. Each week when they go off the air, and you're going to see it, it's telling you that you want to come back. They're leaving it open-ended, going to dark screen, leaving open storylines. That's why on Tuesdays you go to AEW Dark and watch Dark on YouTube, because there's where a lot of the storylines are going into AEW Dynamite. Fans, if you're not watching it, I know there's a lot of wrestling product out there. They have, it's on for 2 or 3 hours. They have 8, 10, 12 matches. We're going to cover some of that. But that's where a lot of these guys and the storylines are coming from. So very smart by AEW and what the front office is doing, from Khan to Cody, the Young Bucks and Omega and everyone down the line. I have to be impressed with what they're doing. And there's a lot of stuff going on between Impact and NWA and Don Callis, Scott D'Amore, Billy Corrigan, Tony Khan, whatever you want to say. And we're going to cover it here. We're going to try to keep this under an hour, but what a great show last night. It really was. If I had to score it from, out of 10, I'll have to give last night, with the return of Sting, not being a mark, not being a shill, just as a fan in my demographic, I'm going to have to give that just about a 9 out of 10 last night. There were some mistakes. There were some missed spots. We'll cover it. We know the program and the layout and the routine that AEW consistently puts out on TNT with commercial breaks, split commercials, and why they place things the way they do. And if you compare it to what the WWE does, you can see the difference in the product. As I said, JR mentions Pat Patterson. So we go on through the Diamond Battle Royal. It comes down to, first off, Tully Blanchard is sitting in the crowd. We know he's hooked up with Shawn Spears, who's also in the Battle Royale for the Diamond Ring. Tully loads up the glove at one point, the old coal miner's glove, just the highlights of the bout. He gives it to Spears, who knocks out Scorpio Sky, because they were outside of the ring to start the Battle Royal. I didn't mention that. And you know there's a whole thing going on right now between Spears and Scorpio Sky from SCU that came from AEW Dark as well. So that you're going to see that feud continue on the road, to use these two extreme talents that I believe they need to feature a little bit more. And I like the way they have their feature stars, but they work everybody in from the bottom of the card to the main card to the main events. That's what AEW is doing differently, and that's old school psychology, storytelling, emotional investment. MJF, Sammy, and Wardlow are just standing in the ring at one point in the ring corner. The Dark Order saves Hangman Page, who ends up being tossed out by, of all people, Matt Hardy. Miro and Kip actually attack Orange Cassidy. So all the different highlights that were there to open up the show. I'm not going to go move by move like a lot of these other podcasters do and break down the high match. I'm going to hit it and quit it and give you the highlights and the lowlights. That's what you fans are here for. Did I say hands? Again, I'm going to reference it here. December 3rd, 2020, Chaos Corner, show number 18. I've said it on every single show I've ever been on, every podcast, and I'm going to say it again. Bully Ray said it to me at least a couple of times 20 years ago. Give the Guardian of Chaos Big Daddy 8 spots and he'll fuck up 7 of them. Well, actually only like 5, but that's where their legendary story comes from. I told it on episode 17. Go back, I tell the whole story. But to his point, I think I did say hands. But all the different things that happened up, there's a lot of different storylines within the Diamond Battle Royal. So, I found it entertaining, a good way to open up any show and any event with a battle royal. So we go on. Miro eliminates at one point 4 or 5 different guys in a row, including Matt Hardy. The inner circle competitors that were in the battle royal end up attacking Miro. We get down to the final 5. It's Miro, Wardlow, MJF, Sammy Guevara, and Jungle Boy. Okay, so they're slugging it out. Miro and Wardlow, 2 guys. I could see that being a feud going into the future that I'm not going to want to miss. So the inner circle ends up tossing Miro out. MJF eliminates Sammy and Jungle Boy at one point, and the final 2 come down to Wardlow and MJF. But one thing they forgot, Orange Cassidy, here's the swerve. Here's the work. Orange Cassidy was outside of the ring, but never officially tossed out, according to the ref. They didn't explain it, but then JR ended up explaining it. So you have all this going on throughout the Battle Royal between the inner circle and the different things that you see going on. And so now MJF said that if he wins, that the whole inner circle wins. We don't know where that's going yet. So the final 2 was going to be Wardlow and MJF. Who knows how that would have turned out? But Cassidy's in. And now Cassidy does a do-si-do, dipsy-do, dunkaroo, and he eliminates Wardlow. So next week it sets up for probably, especially during the live crowd era, before the pandemic hit, Orange Cassidy, the most over man in AEW, perhaps in the world of professional wrestling, takes on MJF for the ring next week. So it really was interesting how it worked out. Now, listen, the Battle Royale was slow in a little places. There were a lot of missed spots when you put 22 men in the ring, but I like the way it worked out. I'll give them a lot of credit, which sets up for a pretty damn interesting match next week on AEW Dynamite, and we're going to cover that before we get out of here. So next week, MJF versus Cassidy. That's how they open it up. The Diamond Battle Royal for the ring. And I guess there's more history. Fans, go back and research it. Hit me up on email. chaosbigdaddy2 at yahoo.com. Give me your feedback. Leave a comment in the section. But be positive. If you're coming out here with negativity and politics and BS, hit the road, get lost, change the channel. Let's smash the like button. Get us in the algorithm. Like, subscribe. Spread it on all social media platforms because I appreciate what the content creators do for me. And, of course, what the boys over at the show do and what I do for you guys. This is what it's all about. Teamwork. You don't want to be an insignificant cog in the wheel of the pro wrestling world. So that's how we open up. We go to next, and I talked about this on PWZ with the professor. I might even mentioned it on show number 17. We go into Frankie Kazarian, who's been around for 20 years, against Chris Jericho, the former Les Champions. Okay? And this is where we get our first commercial break. You know that whenever I cover AEW and I get onto it consistently, I give you the whole program from TNT and how they run it through the commercials and the split screens, and we break down segment by segment, which is usually 11 or 12 segments a week for AEW, and probably 8 or 9 commercial breaks, with 3 or 4 of them being full commercials and the rest being the split screen. We talked about this. I don't know where it leads Jericho and Kazarian, 2 veterans, and why this match was put in here. The Jericho entrance is with the 1,000 fans that were lucky enough to be there, and the Sing Judas, every time it comes out, it is entertaining. I will say I pop for it a little bit every time Jericho comes out. At 50 years old, he still has the fans eating out of the palm of his hands. Get it? Now I said fans, hands. Back to the whole Bully Ray comment. We do an outside interview, okay? Kazarian, Shivani's talking about the AEW season pass. I'll give them a lot of credit when they come back from the commercial. Kazarian comes out. We go to the commercial break, the first commercial of the night. We come back to Tony Schiavone. The way they push out the product, merchandise, shows, live events, you got to give Khan and AEW what they're doing a lot of credit. So they have a season pass to go down there to Daly's place, even during the pandemic. Talk about marketing. Talk about promoting a brand. I like what they're doing down there at AEW compared to what the current product is right now. So Jericho, I talked about Judas. He comes out with one half of Proud and Powerful, and of course Jake Hager. Outside interference. I mean, it's literally 3-on-1. Kazarian has no chance. He's there by himself. Nobody else from SCU. At one point, Kazarian has Y2J in the walls of Jericho. The bottom line is we go to our second commercial break. It's a split screen for AEW Dynamite. We come back. Again, I said outside interference. There's no way Kazarian has a chance to win this match. So the psychology of where they put Jericho in on this, I said it on other shows, I didn't really understand it. At one point, MJF comes out when they come back from the commercial break, the second commercial break, with a towel. Now you could see where this is going with the inner circle, and this is why it's not going to last. And I said it on previous shows. And he makes like he's going to throw in the towel while Kazarian has Jericho in the walls of Jericho. Okay, he goes to grab the mic. It's just unbelievable what happens. Maybe going to throw in a towel. Guevara gets into it. Him and MJF are arguing over throwing in a towel. Obviously, Jericho ends up with the win. We knew that was going to happen, but the chicanery of setting up the inner circle, whether it was the Sinatra vaudeville, which I enjoyed, the parody on Hangover, and now with the whole towel angle, you see what's going to happen. We know what's coming, fans, with the inner circle, whether it's going to be Wardlow is going to turn face. You're going to see the different predictions. Jericho gets in after the win. You knew, again, I'm repeating. And he grabs the microphone and he literally says on TNT, let's stop the bullshit. He's yelling at Hager and Proud and Powerful and Guevara and MJF and Wardlow, and they're all going crazy over the towel. And he says, let's stop the bullshit, cut the bullshit. Next week, Jericho says to everyone he has an ultimatum. Next week, he's laying down the ultimatum to the inner circle. We're either in or we're out. We're either in this or we're out of this. So you see where that's going from that. That's why next week's program looks to be tremendous, fans. You're not going to want to miss it. And that's why I said at the beginning in the opening, this is 5 minutes that's changing the landscape right now more rapidly than a year ago when AEW was introduced. So the ultimatum is how that ended up, and that's leading into next week and how they keep working in these storylines with the inner circle now with MJF and Wardlow. We go backstage. Alex Marvez, veteran talent. Nice to see an older guy in my demographic still have a job in the business. That's why I love AEW. He's interviewing the Young Bucks, the AEW Tag Team Champions, and they get interrupted by the Acclaimed, who, if you haven't been watching AEW Dark, you may not know who they are, guys from the indie scene. Max Caster, who used to be the producer of Mr. Scotty Wetzel on the overnights in Sports Cap on Sirius XM Mad Dog Radio. I love Mr. Vegas, Opposite Picks, who's now on Sports Grid. And when he used to do the Sports Cap or Nightcap overnights on Sirius XM, Max Caster was his producer. And now to see Max in AEW, he was an indie star. Platinum Max Caster, very entertaining guy, and he's teaming up with Anthony Bowens. You guys know him as, what are they're called, Hybrid H2, if I learned that from AEW Dark, and I think they made one appearance before on AEW. So they interrupt the Young Bucks, talk about the rubs and the pushes that are going on in AEW, and we're going to talk about that. Because it's all about the rub, and that's what AEW consistently is doing here, is giving the rub to the younger stars and making stars, and that's what the WWE is not doing. I don't understand why Triple H has let NXT go to shit. I'm just going to throw out my personal opinion. They end up attacking the Young Bucks. A lot of different people came in. There was other tag teams that came in. They all backstage attacked the Young Bucks, so keep an eye on Caster and Bowens. We go on to the fourth segment of the show. Commercial break number 3 is picture-in-picture. Dr. Britt Baker. Yes, Dr. Britt Baker. It's not a bad-looking lady, I will say that. And she's come a long way with her talent. And the women's division leaves a lot to be desired in AEW. We already know that. But things are changing quickly and rapidly, so let's hope they step it up, and I'll give her credit. She comes out with Reba, who now wants to be Reby, whatever it's called. She is the baddest bitch on the block. And she does her promo, Dr. Britt Baker. And she goes up against a grappler from Russia who I've heard good things about. Haven't really seen her much. Legit Layla Hirsch. She ended up tapping out to Britt Baker. There was interference from Reby. You knew that was going to happen. I don't cover the women's division all that much on AEW, but they do have some decent talent. And this leads to where we go into a second commercial break. AEW is smart. During that brief match between Britt Baker and Hirsch, two commercial breaks, and at the end, who comes out, who's going to be one of the biggest stars and is currently one of the hottest women grapplers and stars in the business? Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa comes out and attacks Dr. Britt Baker. You could see that leading into a match between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. And this is where I talked about what's happening between AEW bringing in stars from Impact like Don Callis. We know the whole connection. I talked about it weeks ago on a different Chaos Corner show in the history between Don Callis and Kenny Omega. I've already exposed that when a lot of people didn't even know it. Well, here is the same thing. Billy in the NWA, he seems to be sitting back and watching what everybody else is doing and letting a lot of his stars, especially the female talent, go over and work for Khan and AEW. So, and now with Impact, there's a lot of different merging things happening. We don't know. And then throw New Japan in the mix. I hear rumors. That's what you're hearing it here first from the G.O.C. So that sets up some interesting matches in the women's division. We go to, again, Tony Khan, very smart with the two commercial breaks right there for the advertisers and promotion. I'll give him a lot of credit. So it was interesting. It's nice to see Rosa. I'm a big fan of hers. Next, we come out with a Team Taz and Cody promo from last week. Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, Team Taz, a nice promo with Cody. That's from last week's Dynamite. And this is what they do very well also that WWE does not do. They recap. They preview. They tell the story of what's going on and what's happening in AEW from week to week to remind you of what's going on, to feature different storylines. And that's what pushes the company over and makes you want to come back as a fan. Show number 18, live to tape, Chaos Corner. I can't thank you enough for being here. I hope everybody is doing well. You're all staying positive because the G.O.C. is here for you. Covering AEW, Dynamite, and everything in between. But what a big show last night, fans. We're coming up on almost a half an hour in already. How quickly it goes. Give me a second. Let's take a break. Don't go anywhere. We're not even halfway through the show. Again, Team Taz in the promo. Before we go on to, and we take a break, we're coming up to the tag team event, which starts fast. Darby Allin skates into Daly's place. It's unbelievable. Cody comes in with Arn Anderson, and then the entrance of Team Taz, which is Hobbs and Starks. What a match. Darby and Cody, what a team to go up, and the way they formed that team. I didn't understand it at first, but I like the way the formation and the storylines coming together, and to have Arn Anderson. I say it all the time. I love seeing the legends out there. How does the beard look, fans? Fresh. I don't want to get off. I feel like we had it freshly trimmed. If I tilt my head this way, does it look even? How about that? That's another story for another time. Then we go into commercial break number 5, a full commercial. But Darby Allin, Cody Rhodes with Arn against Team Taz, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, two future stars that are going to be unbelievable. Both these gentlemen are tremendous. And again, Starks started off in the NWA. Billy let him slip away, and look at him now. So stand by, fans. Only 28 minutes in. Don't go anywhere. Again, I'm feeling much better, in case you're asking. No edit button. Unique, unscripted, rambling, rumbling. This is what happens. It's live to tape, fans. There is no edit button here. We are raw dog on Chaos Corner. I had them, different people say, oh, why are you doing this? Why aren't you on this platform? Why aren't you working with Dino anymore? Why aren't you with NAWA? Why aren't you with Paradise Alley? I'll always be with Paradise Alley. It's my home, so don't get it fucked up there. But all the different things, and how come you're not doing this, and what happened with this? I do what I want to do. If you don't like what I'm doing, again, good vibes, positive vibes, you want to come at me, send me emails, different things like this in the business, I really don't give a fuck. Email me, say whatever you want to say. There's nothing that anyone could do to the G.O.C. Just remember that. Positive vibes, no he, it's a work, baby, all get it. But certain people, and you know who you are and who I'm talking to, I'm not a hard guy to find. I'm really not. I've always kept it upfront, real, fair, tell it like it is, no heat, no negativity, but you want to jump on me and you want to say certain things? Not a hard guy to find. But we'll keep it on good vibes here. 30 minutes in right now. I just wanted to throw that out there because you know who I'm talking to. Okay? Friends become foes. Foes become allies. Enemy of my enemy becomes my friend. I don't play things like that. Positivity, spirituality, brother. Yeah. We'll talk about that too at 30 minutes in. People using the term brother. Follow the money, bro. A little bit of reality. Because you know I don't give a fuck. Thank you anyway, fans, for sticking here. 30 minutes in. We come back to, now Darby's being punished in this tag team match. Listen, Hobbs and Starks are cutting off the ring. Classic tag team work, doing what you're supposed to do. What I would say as the manager that I used to be if they were my tag team, and we were going through the game plan backstage on what to do and who to take and what body parts to work on and cutting off the ring and quick tags, that's what it's all about. And as a young team, Hobbs and Starks with Taz as tutelage. Yeah, somebody even made comments about the change, speaking about legit badasses and change. Just remember, this is my life. And if you don't understand that, oh, yeah, again, change the channel. You don't have to watch. It's all good, whether there's one person or 5,000. Remember that. So, people talk about the glasses, the character, this, that. Again, change the channel. You don't like it. Hit the thumbs down. I don't want to get off onto this because I said I wasn't good when I wasn't going to. So let me be a good boy right now. Again, unbelievable. And if you don't know anything about Powerhouse Hobbs, and they repeated it last night too on Dynamite. Here's a guy that benches almost 500 pounds. Okay, he squats over 5 1/4. He deadlifts almost 600 pounds. Truly a powerhouse, and his future is unbelievable. At one point, Arn Anderson, again, who I was hanging out with and was fortunate and blessed enough through Joe Bruin and New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame to hang out with last year, okay, for the Hall of Fame induction and for FanFest. So what a guy, what a legit badass and a guy and a gentleman that tells it like it is, a true legend. He's hanging out on the apron. I'm not sure what he's doing. I'm not sure what the referee's doing, but he's just hanging out, almost holding on to if there was a tag rope, like he was involved in the match. So I'm not quite sure where they were going with that. I mean, it looks like a couple of spots that I screwed up in the past. At one point, Arn gets involved. Dustin Rhodes comes running in. Cage comes running in. So it's Team Taz. It's the Rhodes boys. It's Darby Allin, Arn Anderson. There's pure chaos at one point. And what I found strange, the crowd, there was some boos, and they were a little silent while all this insanity was going on between Darby and Cody and Team Taz. I mean, there really was a lot of stuff going on. It started very fast. They separated. Like I said, they broke it down on Darby. Arn got involved and got assaulted. And then all the chaos, and again, that's pun intended, and that's directed a shot at Chaos Project, okay, at AEW. I am the guardian of chaos, Big Daddy. Remember? Yeah, I know. Well, I had one photo with a star, or, stolen valor, stolen fame, You should hear the things that I've been hearing. It's been unbelievable. The stuff that goes on in the politics and drama and the business, you can't fucking make it up when people realize that. You don't get it, do you? Stay in your fucking lane. So all the chaos that goes on there, and this is what makes pertinent. And at 34 minutes, coming up on 35, I like to remind the crowd how long you hear, because we know the analytics. Bing, the 5 minutes that I alluded to a half an hour ago that has changed the business. The lights go dark at Daly's place, kind of like The Undertaker. And who now comes into the ring because it's trending and everyone knows. They talked about it late last night, but I'm the first one to do it today. It was all reported. This is not old. This is not breaking news, but within the last 24 hours, because everyone talked about it late last night. I'm here to hit you up today, this afternoon, to give you the real deal and the viewpoint from Chaos Corner of what happened from a veteran's eye, mixed in with what I learn and hear from other people. Because if you don't sit there and get knowledge from everybody else's take, and come up with your own thoughts, unique thoughts, and what you think about it, then I don't know what you're doing in this business, because that's what you get here. Sting. That's right. We've been waiting for it for a long time. Vince, you dropped the ball. Sting, with all the snow, the visual, the Raven, the different things, the fields, the darkness, the cold, winter is coming, the war is here. Beautiful. Fans, if you didn't pop for that, now when Sting was in the business in the 80s, I was in my 20s. I get it. I wasn't like a lot of people who weren't born, or people that were young, or little boys and little girls. I was a grown man at that point, and I had goosebumps last night to see Sting come out, and he looked damn good, and I bet you he could still work. He comes out and he talks to Arn. He steps at the apron, and you know the legendary series and feud and the war between the competition between the Four Horsemen and Sting and everyone back there, and the legacy and the history. That right there was worth the price of admission alone. So he talks with Arn. He goes over and he looks at Cody and he's talking to him. Now, I don't know what he's saying, but I'm going to tell you what I think, apart from anyone else's thoughts. I think he's telling him how much he loved Dusty, and how he remembers his father, and to be in the ring with him, and the honor and the legacy. You have to read between the lines. Been a long-time fan, been in the business, talked to these people personally in the past. You got to know what you're talking about. That's what I believe, coming from the Guardian of Chaos. So right there, the history and the legacy, it just, to me, that's what I read and saw from it. Give me your comments and your takes and your feedback on that. Then he goes and he stares at Darby, almost like he's looking in the mirror. And I'll give credit where credit was due. I thought about this last night, but only one other person has said it, and he said it this morning. And that would be Bully Ray, who I have a small history with. And fans know that in all seriousness. But he said it. He may even put it out on social media. I haven't been on there yet, but he mentioned it. That was the rub of a lifetime for Darby Allin from Sting. So what Sting did last night in one night, and that's why I opened up with the 5 minutes with Tully, Cody, now Darby. Fans, again, I could feel it. I'm almost choked up. The history, the passion, the dedication. Do you see? This is what you get here on Chaos Corner. So that last night, fans, as I adjust again, I'm trying to drop the LBs. I am in training. You have seen it. So shirts are a little oversized, a little undersized, not the traditional Big Daddy wear, but good vibes, along with mixed with reality, and a dose for a lot of people and listeners who creep. And I know you're watching, and it's okay. So with all that, it gave me bumps, boops, everything else you want to talk about. We go into commercial break number 6, a full commercial, perfectly placed by Tony Khan if you go through it. They come back to JR and Shivani and Excalibur, and they review the whole Sting entrance. And if you were on social media, or you were watching NXT, and you found out about this, what did you do? You immediately switched and you went over because Sting returned, and you left WWE in the dust. It'll be interesting to see what the ratings will be coming out of last night. Alvarez and everybody will be reporting on it in mere moments, okay? So we'll find out what the ratings were last night. But if you were an NXT fan or WWE fan, and you found out through social media, or one of your friends texted you or called you, hey, Chaos, hey, Big Daddy, hey, Sting returns, he's on AEW, you're switching over and you're staying. Perfect placement for the commercial. Perfect placement for them to redo Sting's entrance. Perfect how in 5 minutes, Sting didn't say a word and accomplished all that. And it goes on. So fans, stay with me. So we come back, as I said. We're up on an 8th or 9th segment into AEW Dynamite. Sting. It was a buzz last night. It was trending. It was unbelievable what happened last night. That's why I'm glad I'm fortunate enough to be here to talk about it today. Mixed in with a few other things. And like I said, rest in peace, Pat Patterson, and all the other people out there that are haters and trolls. And do you? Will you please move forward, move on? Just because I tell like it is, it's okay, man. It's okay. So, and then this is what they do that's so perfect. They come back and they cut a promo for what's going to happen next week before they're even finished with this week. And that's what they keep you coming back. And that's what AEW is doing. And that's why it's so different. It's not perfect. It's not what I like from the 70s and 80s. The business has changed, not even from the 90s and the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars. I understand that. But for over the last 20 years and what the business has been, come on. Like, wake up, fans. Wake up, America. Let's not get political. I do that all the time, too. And that's why the show goes an hour and over an hour sometimes. And you wonder who's watching. So they go next week on AEW Dynamite, and we'll cover it before then. Again, I've been pretty consistent with this. I put out 2 or 3 shows a week. So fans, hit that alert button. Hit it when I'm coming on. This is all free content that you're getting here, fans, and a lot of entertainment in between. Next week, the Young Bucks for the tag team titles against the Hybrid 2, and that's Max Caster. I already told you about Platinum Max Caster and his partner there, who I'm not familiar with, but I have seen some of his work. Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. I told you the acclaimed Hybrid 2, Young Bucks and Hybrid 2, unless I'm mixing it up there. Dustin Rhodes versus Dark World Order number 10. I like the way they do that. The Inner Circle Ultimatum. I'm just going by what TNT is throwing out here in between the show here on Dynamite and in the order how they put it out on TNT and on national TV. FTR, the tag team champions, against the Varsity Blondes. Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison. And again, if you're not watching AEW Dark, they've been down there cleaning up on the tag team division. Abaddon will also be on in the women's division, which they need. Again, I talk about it all the time. We talk about AEW Dark and the things that are going on over there. So that's next week's, and they're already throwing out a promo, okay, with the big one with MJF and Cassidy for the ring for next week while we're still in the middle of this week. And I hope I didn't get the tag teams mixed up there with Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. So we come back, segment number 9. We have Sheeta backstage, the AEW World's Champion, who I do like, very talented lady to all my friends over there in the Pac Rim in Japan. Everybody out there who you know, you've been following me for a long time, for years. Konnichiwa. Sheeta is interviewed by Marvez talking about Abaddon. It was a quick interview, and they breezed right by it. And then they're also talking about, and this is what I said was coming up, Jake the Snake Roberts, the legends. I say it all the time in AEW. Next week, Lance Archer and the Lucha Brothers team up with Jake the Snake Roberts as their manager, and they go up against the Butcher and the Blade with the beautiful Bunny and Eddie Kingston. Now, you noticed that when Kingston was going back and forth with Mox, and it was hot weeks ago, and Eddie Kingston had taken the scene by storm, they've kind of set back and pushed other storylines up and let Eddie take a breather, and I like how they're doing this. And now that's going to be an unbelievable 6-man tag team matchup. I don't know how they came up with it, but the Murder Hawk with Jake and the Lucha Brothers, El Gallo Tres Huevos, de nada, against Kingston, Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny, and then also Sting will be back live, and he speaks. So think about what Khan and AEW are doing right here, if you're still with me. We go on to these different promos and vignettes, and the way they set up the television program and the business model and what they're doing here in pro wrestling, it's business 101, and for this time in industry, it really works, and that's why you see they're getting over on the WWE. So that's all next week. Sting will be back. The ratings are going to go through the roof. They're crossing over the mainstream. This is all what's happening next week on AEW Dynamite. We're 9-10 segments in here on Chaos Corner, show number 18, reviewing AEW Dynamite, which I love doing. We come back, and Moxley, again, one of the best promo guys that you're going to want to see. He cuts an unbelievable promo. He's always out in the parking lots or in a fenced-in area with the belt. It's natural. It's from the heart. We talked about it just like how Eddie Kingston, and that's why he's made it now after 18 and 20 years, because he's a special talent. Mox is the same thing, speaking from the heart. And this is when he was on WWE and Dean Ambrose and with the Shield and all that. He was neutered. He was castrated, so to speak. And look at him now as Moxley, perhaps one of the hottest commodities in the business. Excellent promo. You see what they do with the vignettes and promos. Before we get into a match, we go back and forth. And this is what I say to a lot of different other podcasters and shows. The mix between in-ring action, promos, vignettes, commercials. And if you set it up the right way, it works. So we go to commercial break number 7. That's right, 7. I always count them down, and they're right on the average. We come back to Don Callis from Impact is in the booth. Fans, I talked about it. Go back, and it was either episode 15 or 16, maybe even 14. It's in the highlights, talking about the connection between Impact and especially Don Callis and Omega, and how they met up for Callis to even show on AEW back to Halloween at a party at Jericho's in Florida. We talked about this. They're almost like family. They have ties back to New Japan. So that's why Callis is there, because of Kenny Omega. So now he's in the booth with Shivani, JR, and Excalibur. Okay? And of course, my old buddy again, nobody does it better right now. Justin Roberts with his intro of Omega. To me, it's unbelievable. The cleaner, the whole entrance, I really starting to like it even more so now. I was never a huge fan of Omega, except his in-ring ability. All the other stuff I could do without, but I got to tell you, he's winning me over. So that's what we lead into at this time. Moxley and Ambrose, your boy, against Omega for the AEW heavyweight title. Free TV. Mox comes through the arena like he always does. I love that entrance. Okay, he did it back in the WWE. They did it with the Shield. Even now in the pandemic era, for him to come through like that, it's unbelievable. So we go from Roberts introducing Omega like nobody else can, to Mox coming through the arena for the title. 60-minute time limit. I got chills listening to Justin Roberts say it. We go to commercial break number 8. Again, it's all about placing and timing. They average about 8 or 9 commercials. I said it at the beginning. Go back and look at my different reviews. Right on time. Dead balls on. 2-hour program. You don't have to worry about 3 hours. Like Raw, you're there all night. You're bored. You got to cover 3 hours. You got to be kidding me. With all the content, 2 hours is perfect. It's right in the wheelhouse. Commercial breaks, this is how you set it up. This is what it's talking about. And this is why I like to break it down, fans. This is what you get here on this show. So we come back after commercial break number 8, 60-minute time limit for the title. A lot of the action starts off outside of the ring. Both these guys are tremendous. I'll break it down briefly before we get out of here. Okay, Omega is trying to take out the legs on Moxley. You got to love it, because Omega's style, it's high impact. It's explosion. He has speed. There's nobody that has cardio like Omega in this business. I'll agree with Callis on that. I've seen it when he was in New Japan. That's why when he was him and Okada, and it was match of the year, and he was... I agree with that point, and I've said it before. So to have Omega with that style against Moxley, who's more of a ground fighter, more of a striker. He's not a high fly guy, though, although he can do it. I like the outside of the ring action, but it was more outside than inside, and I liked the different styles competing against each other. Again, Kenny's cardio is amazing. We go to commercial break number 9. Bang, split screen this time. They don't want you to walk away and get up and go to the refrigerator. That's not what they want right now. That's perfect timing. That's why they have, out of the 9 breaks, I've said it and I broke it down. Maybe you're not interested in the analytics. That's also what I do. 3 or 4 of the commercial breaks are split during important parts of the show. A couple ones, they'll go in back to back with full commercials like they did in the ladies match, and for good reason. That's the time to take a leak, or grab a Guinness or something. I don't know. Watch Guy Fieri. I don't know. So we come back from the. We're still on a split screen. Right when you come back from the split screen, Mox hits Ambrose. Mox and Ambrose. Omega hits a moonsault over the top rope outside. Unbelievable. Right, perfect timing when it comes back from the split screen. He hits a paradigm shift on the belt. Okay, Mox hits it on Omega. They're going back and forth. At one point, Mox grabs the chairs. The crowd, for 1,000 people, it sounded like it was a live event, and the atmosphere is just so different than what NXT and WWE is doing. And I think this is why the fans, and why even the older demographic, although they say 50 plus, isn't watching. I don't believe any of it. And if it's not all about demographics, you also want to get the numbers. At one point, he had taken it to Omega's ass. You see the story. It started off where Omega was using his maneuvers to take out Moxley and keep him on the ground, so to speak, with his maneuvers. It was outside of the ring. You see now then the comeback. Mox hits the paradigm shift. He's getting the chairs. He's going to take it hardcore. So they get in the ring. I'm not sure if this sells for me, if it works. And they set up chairs, and they both sit on them after killing each other here for 20 minutes. And they start slap, paintbrush, slap, slap, and then it's bang, bang, bang. And now if you're hitting someone, you got a good shot, short shot or not, if you're going to knock the dude out. He's going off the fucking chair, but it's just that simple. So they go back and forth, and the crowd's getting into it, but I don't know if it sells for me when you start with the closed fist. I don't know. So that, I'm not crazy about it. Omega hits some unbelievable snapdragon suplexes on Moxley. I gotta say, that's an unbelievable maneuver. You slip up and screw up once, kid, you're done. There goes your neck, the third vertebrae, the first vertebrae. Listen, you're done. Your rotator cuff, whatever it is. What a dangerous maneuver, but he hits it on Omega, and then all of a sudden, here's where the wrestling world has also changed. Bang! Don Callis grabs the mic, and Callis leaves the booth, and all of a sudden, he's up at ringside. What's going to happen here? A lot of different things. Mox lays out Callis. Okay? You remember he had the microphone. Mox sees him, lays him out. Again, Callis leaves the booth. Omega grabs the mic. Now the ref is over there with Callis. He's out. Here's where it comes. Here's the chicanery, and that's the G.O.C. Bang. Hits Mox with the mic. Busts him open. That's right, busted open. Gotta love it. Always a little bit of blood. You knew there was going to be blood. You knew there was going to be color in this. Okay? And then they want to call it, listen, I get it, what I would call a forearm or different moves, a body slam, a fireman's carry, a front chancery, a suplex, a snap mare, a beel. They don't call clothesline. They don't call that anymore. It's not called that. They want to have different names for it. Everyone's got to have their own twist on it. It's not the simple maneuver that you learned or that you saw or that you talked about. You practiced. And listen, now I get I wasn't a full-time grappler, but I was trained by several people. I took the bumps. I was in there. Who better to tell it than someone who saw it from all sides? All sides. Wore every hat. Who? You're looking at him. So I will say impressive. Omega hit several flying knees on Moxley. Just unbelievable across the ring. I took his head off. And again, fans, I can't tell you this much error between serious injury and being all done and making it, selling it and performing it and putting it out there. And a lot of the wrestling world didn't see this coming. And again, I think I predicted it wrong. And thank God there's no bets on a scripted, choreographed entertainment sport, so to speak. Because, man, I'll tell you, somebody ought to start it up. Maybe I will if you want to get to me and go partners on gambling. And not that I condone it in wrestling. Because it's pretty tough, whether you're Meltzer, Alvarez, Cornette, or Solomonster, JD, or anybody else talking about this, to predict this stuff and actually get it right all the time. Even an insider, even someone who's sitting there that's behind, whether it be Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff, or someone like Bully Ray, Dreamer, Mark Henry, Booker T on their shows talking about this. I mean, it's unbelievable to get this stuff right. So it's nice as an insider and someone who's in the business to be surprised by certain things and not always know the storylines or the creativity of it. Omega hits the one-winged angel. Bang. Pin. It's over. 1, 2, 3. Your new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, the Cleaner, Kenny Omega, over John Moxley, a.k.a. Ambrose. I've said it 5 times. I know it. But Moxley. Didn't see it coming. Transition to the belts. Wow. Because Moxley was undefeated at that point. So what happens there? Omega and Callis, who had recovered by then, run out of the building like their hair's on fire, like I retired the day I walked out from behind the walls after 25 years, like my hair was on fire. Ran out of the building there at Daly's Place in Jacksonville like they had stole something in the middle of the night, jumped into the SUV and bang, bing, bong, out on 95, going somewhere. So, man, let me tell you, I have to say last night's AEW was the best of the year. Maybe one of the best shows of the last year out of any organization. I was highly entertained. It's going to be interesting to see the ratings. We know last week the ratings were down. It's going to be up because of the holidays. We're going to see what happens. So they run out of the building, and this is what I talk about before we end show number 18, Chaos Corner with the G.O.C. Big Daddy. I'll say that to say this because I tell it like it is. I hope you're still here. And this is how they leave it, and this is why Tuesday nights, I'm under an hour, so I hope you're still here. Under Tuesday nights on Impact on Access, and I've been covering Impact, whether it be on my show or other podcasts that I'm on. Before Omega and Callis jump in, Marvez comes out of nowhere. And again, it's nice to see older people with talent still in the business and getting an opportunity and a chance. He tries to interview them, and they say, you're going to have to find out on Tuesdays. And Marvez said, Tuesdays? AEW Dynamite's on Wednesdays, not Tuesdays. What do you mean, AEW Dark? He said, no. Impact on Access. Kenny and I will be on Impact on Access on Tuesday. So fans, Tuesday night, Impact is going to be something you're going to want to watch. I've been alluding to it for months. Not only is Wednesday Night Wars great between NXT and AEW Dynamite, WWE, so to speak, and you have Raw and SmackDown, we get it. Raw's unwatchable. SmackDown, okay, we'll draw numbers. It's a little bit better. Not down on anyone. I appreciate everybody. But Tuesday nights, whether it be on YouTube or Impact now, and they've been doing good things already with their roster, and now you're going to tune in and maybe see a little merger, or who knows what's going to happen in the wrestling business. So pandemic or not, the positivity of what's going on there, yeah, I'm old school and I get it, but you're either with the times or you get left behind. So to see what's happening is really unbelievable. And then that's how they go dark to screen, leave it out there for next week. And again, the war is here. Winter is coming, and not only patriot-wise politically in this nation, but also in the world of professional wrestling. And again, I talk about Dark. I'll wrap it up here. Spears is on there. Ricky Starks, a Cutler from the Dark World Order, Best Friends, the Gun Club, local guys, VSK, Sean Donovan, great athletes, Brian Pillman Jr., George South Jr., Evil East, The Acclaimed, as I talked to Max Caster, Chaos Project. Jurassic Express is there. Lady Frost, who was big on the independents. A lot of different people. Matt Sydal. So look at the talent, and there's a lot of storylines. AEW's picking up. Jump on or jump off. Hop on. Because the AEW train is coming, as is Chaos Corner. So I'm going to wrap that up here again. Impact, all the different things I wanted to talk about. What's going on Dynamite. I hope you stayed here. Again, friends, like, subscribe, hit that like button, get us in the algorithm. Let's start going live here. We got a lot of things going on. I'm a very busy guy. I'm glad to be here. We did a lot of different things we talked about. With Sting showing up, Don Callis, Impact, AEW. The ratings were interested to see what's happening. NXT 1, I guess. AEW's averaging 850,000, sometimes a million in the ratings. They had last week was 710,000, seventh overall. I get it because of the holidays, and I'm not blaming on everything. NXT won by 2,000. But the weeks before, 600,000 for NXT. They're averaging 650, maybe 700,000. AEW has it. Raw drew 1.8. Averaging about 1.6, 1.7, SmackDown 2.3 million. So all the different things that are going on. The return of MLW in the Opera Cup, Ring of Honor, NWA, Impact, New Japan. There's a lot of things going on. So fans, to close out show number 18, live to tape, same day coverage. We kept it under an hour. Thank you for being here. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Parler, Instagram, Rumble. I don't really dabble in all the other things. The quickest way to get me is email me. I told you I gave you the email. Go back and check it out. Inbox me. Follow me on all social media platforms. I can't thank you enough. AEW, the wrestling world, everything is changing. All the programs are coming back. We're going to beat this pandemic. Stay strong, stay safe, and keep your eye on the Guardian of Chaos. We kept it under an hour, and I tell it like it is. Oh, wait. I don't know when I'll be back. Hit the bell. I'll be back. I don't want to sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Wait, the show 18, I'll be back. Check out the rest of my videos. All right, guys. Thank you.